Hi there YouTube, I am here with a review and I am reviewing the new Morphe 35o2 palette. I will be comparing it to the Morphe 35o original palette, and as far as quality, maybe what they lack in each palette, and I give you a really quick look that I made blending the two palettes. I think it came out quite lovely. It's just a really good, easy, simple. I did this, in less than 5 minutes. Probably the eyes, I would say. The eyeballs were done really quickly. And if you want to know my thoughts on these palettes, if you want to know how I did this look, then just stay tuned. Okay, so I have the Morphe 35o 35o palette, and then the 35o2, the second generation palette. And let's just take a look at the 35o2. And let me just give you some thoughts on it. If I can open it, there we go. So what I just did was I glued the plastic sheet so that I could reference it, but kind of, pointless. I wish they would just put it, either don't come out with names, or come out with names and have them printed. Anyways, so this is what it looks like. Beautiful, beautiful warm tones, but it lacks. This palette lacks because it doesn't have any light highlight tones, not even for my skin tone. So I am medium tan, and I know that all the fair girls, all the porcelain girls, all the light skin girls, they're gonna have to go to some other palette to use this palette. So what I have found for myself personally is that the 35o, the original one, works really well with this palette. So it's like that second generation was like, oh, on second thought, we need these kind of colors in this palette. So that's just my feelings. I really enjoyed the first palette. I got a lot of use out of this little section over here. Not so much the cooler tones on this side, but most of these colors over here I used a lot, and then the top two rows I use a lot also. So this palette is a great combination to this palette, or it's a great complement to this palette. So if you have this palette, then I would say yes, go for it. Go get the 35o2 palette. It's not expensive at all. It's going to be available on ulta.com. I did purchase mine through Morphe because I just couldn't wait, and I didn't realize that they were going to do the 35o2 palette on Ulta. So I went ahead and I purchased it. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw a quick look together and just give you like some thoughts, because I have heard people talking about the formula and all that on the 35o2 palette, and to be quite honest, I do feel like I don't really see a difference. Like, I know a lot of people are talking about the formula, oh, it matches the Jaclyn Hill palette, the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette that they just came out with. I don't own that one. I have my, like, I go hem and haw, like, I'm going to get it, and I'm like, no, I don't need another palette. I'm like, get it, and then I'm like, no, because I know I won't use those bottom two rows, and so, I just, it's just one of those things that, like, maybe now that it's at Ulta, I might get it if I had a coupon for it. So, I'm just going to take this light colored shade and gently set all of the soft ochre paint pot that I used from MAC. That was my primer. And I'm just setting that so that I can have a smooth transition with the rest of the shadows. Their 35o2 palette, they talk about how well they blend and all that. I don't see an issue with this palette. This palette blends beautifully also. So, it did take me a long time to get the 35o, the original version. I probably got it, maybe a good 6 months after it came out. But it was still very hyped, because I remember I was like, okay, I'm going to get it because it's going to go out of stock. And it was still very hyped like 6 months later. And then I got it. I think I used it once, if I even used it. Maybe I just swatched it. And I set it to the side because I got other palettes, which is what people that hoard makeup usually do. And I didn't reach for it. And then all of a sudden, like, I reached for it and I'm like, oh, I love this palette. And it's not because it's Morphe, and it's not because, it's a warm palette. I just really liked the shadows, and it gave me that great monochromatic look. But this palette here, I would say, lacks darker, warm colors, which is what this second generation palette gives you. So it's like this has all the light colors and the medium tone colors, and then you come over to this palette and you get all your darker colors. So it's a great palette. They're both great palettes. One has a little bit more, the 35o original version has more cooler tones to it, but it does have a lot of warm tones. So it's like, what do you prefer? What do you want? So I'm just going to go in and do this look I did the other day because I want to do this look because I have to get out of this, I have to get out of here. I have to go to the store before my kids get home, and I'm having issues walking. I did something to my foot yesterday, and so I'm just going to be hobbling around at the store. So what I'm going to do is, now that I have set my primer, actually it was in this palette that I think I went into. So this palette here, this color is called Risky, and it's right here, and it's just this gorgeous, you know, terracotta color, I would say. Red, light red terracotta color, and there is a little bit of fallout, so make sure you tap your brush. And I'm just bringing this into my crease, just lightly bringing this up into my crease, taking it in windshield wiper motions and blending it out, and doing it very lightly. Now, everybody's talking about the formula, how wonderfully it blends. Like I said, the 35o original palette, I don't feel like it blends any different. I felt like they both blended very well. Now that I have gotten rid of my NARS, shadow primer, I used that because it was NARS. It was a sample, and I thought, oh, it's NARS, it's going to be lovely. But what I have noticed is now that I'm not using that, now that I've used it up and just decided that the last little bit of remnants that I wasn't going to try to use up, I would not recommend that at all. That primer made my eyeshadows skip around so much. So just taking this high up into the crease and doing the windshield wiper motions, making that little rainbow shape. This blends out beautifully. Skipping around, I am going to go in with my finger, and I'm going to go into the 35o original palette. And this color right here, it's the, if you look at it this way, it is the 1, 2, 3, 4th row, 2 over, basically kind of like the same place but on the opposite side on the original palette. And I'm using my finger, and I'm just going to place that with my finger. Let me put my brush down all across my lid. Going back into the 35o2 palette, I am going into the color Brave, and it's just a darker color, or darker version of that original color I placed in the crease. Sorry about them dogs. This color here does have a lot of, fallout. Dust your brush off, tap your brush, and my eyes are really watering, so it's making the shadow skip around. I wore the same look yesterday, and I didn't have any issues. The shadow looked really nice, lasted all day, but today my eyes are playing me. So I'm just taking this into the outer third and then bringing it across into the actual crease. So rocking that in my socket. Taking that same color and putting it underneath my eyes. Going back into that original color that I used to place in my crease so that I can help to try to blend this a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to go into the original 35o palette, going in between this shade, right down the middle, this shade and this shade, and just blending up the top here. Blending the edges. Taking a small flat synthetic brush, and I'm going to spray this really quickly. So taking this light highlight shade right here, it's a very champagne-y shade, and putting that into the inner corner here. I'm going to use my finger now to pack it on in the inner corner. Into that shade that I placed all over the lid with my finger with that wet brush still, and packing it on to the rest of the lid. Works way better with a wet brush. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I could put some black eyeliner, wing eyeliner, and I could be going to the club next. This, just my favorite type of tones. I probably wear these tones a little bit too much. Final thoughts on these two palettes. Well, okay, so everybody knows about the 35o original palette. It's an awesome cult classic palette. Everybody loves this palette. Took me a while to get it, and when I got it, I was like, now I know why everybody loves this palette. 35o2 palette. Would I say that you absolutely needed this palette? If you don't have a lot of warm tone palettes, then yes, you absolutely need this palette. It's an inexpensive palette, very high quality, get a lot of choices here. This palette lacks, it needs lighter colors in it. It has a lot of amazing orange tones. I don't feel that it has any pink tones in here, and that's where I feel this palette lacks. It lacks in light champagne type colors, inner corner colors, highlight colors. It also lacks in the pink colors. Most of these colors lean orange and bronze. So the darker colors here are amazing. You know, some of these colors are really amazing, but the thing is, I like a little bit of pink in my look. Like when I'm going to do a look like this, I need some pink in there. I need hints of pink. That's just my go-to type of color. If you are a person that only wants to use bronzes and oranges, well then you're going to love this palette. But I feel like to blend, to get that blend out of these, you know, rosy brown colors, you need some kind of pink, and it just doesn't have that in this palette. The palette is beautiful, the quality is great. I don't know if it's a step up in quality. Like I don't feel that I you know, had that difference in the two palettes. Like everybody's talking about, oh, it's pressed differently and blah blah blah. I don't see that. I don't notice that. Like I don't notice a difference in blends. Like I just don't. So I feel like both of them are beautifully made. The quality, the blend is beautiful on both of these palettes. Maybe these are a little buttery. The mattes are a little bit more buttery, and that's what they're talking about. Like these might be a little bit more dry, but they both blend equally well. So up to you guys. Up to you guys. Don't forget that these are being sold now on Ulta. So save up your Ulta points. Use an Ulta coupon and purchase it through Ulta rather than purchasing off of Morphe, because Morphe you're going to spend $8.50 or 95 cents, something like that. Some unbelievably crazy amount for shipping, which I did, but then I had used that 10% off somebody's code for 10% off to get like a little bit of a discount. But had I known, I would have waited and used Ulta, because if you purchase $50 worth of Ulta, then you're going to get it for free shipping. Excuse me. Free shipping on Ulta, and then they're always running some kind of special. So a lot of times $35 you get free shipping. You know, maybe you can find it in store, because on the 29th a lot of these Morphe, a lot of these Ulta stores will be selling Morphe. So up to you guys. Just wanted to give you my thoughts on it. Don't forget, if you like me, give me a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.